So what do you think, guys? I think we're going to go with this one. Bono and I are editing the Globe and Mail this year. Why? Because as you people more than anyone knows, the G8 and G20 are coming. And the rest of the world is coming to Canada as well, and we're trying to get them to discuss seriously poverty in Africa, as we always do, and which you're a huge part of. So, you know, you've been with us for so long, I don't have to tell you anything you don't know already. What is really important is that you and your friends get out and start talking about the possibilities that this G8 and G20 can bring to the poor of Africa. It's a big one, this. It's not a sort of joke summit. The Japanese one was very difficult. This is a bit easier because Prime Minister Harper has put maternal health at the top of the agenda. And at immediate look, it might not seem the most important thing to do about poverty, but if you consider that if women throughout Africa can take some control of their biology, then it allows them to have that little bit more power. And that is the key to development in Africa, where women can just decide for themselves their own futures and as a result largely their own families. Then there's the human aspect. How much better would it be if women aren't forced to have abortions that are agonizing and painful? How much easier is it if children don't die in childbirth? How much better will it be if HIV is not passed from the mother to the child? All this is preventative. So it has to go through this G8, which is your G8. The Globe and Mail generously, unbelievably, have allowed Bono and I to use their paper of record as a sheet that we can argue these issues through. It's kind of useless if there's no follow-up. It's one moment that people will read this great cover and read all the pieces that some of the great writers and figures in the world have contributed to this. It's kind of useless if that disappears within a day or a week. So here's the big ask, like we always do, and we know that ultimately you'll probably answer the call. If you can take these issues, or if you can argue the toss in, you know, where you're working or in your schools or with your friends. I know it's boring and sort of geeky, believe me, I really do know. But somehow it's got to do with the century that we live in. That our argument is that not just China is the power of the 21st century, but whether the politicians realise it or whether the general public of Canada realise it, Africa will be one of the great powers of the 21st century because it has no other choice. Because the only way to go from absolute poverty is to wealth as we would understand it. And Canada has to begin negotiating with that future power like it failed to do with China. So there's a lot to play for here. Again, I don't have to tell you guys the story. You've been there for a long time. You've been with us all the way. But actually now is the big call on the Canadian end of one. And so we need you to get out, mobilise, argue, articulate, and bring that great compassion that you've already displayed a little more publicly and really annoy your friends, and even better still, really annoy the G8 so that the Canadian government do the thing that you know they should do and which we are absolutely assured is right to do. Thanks a lot.